Oh, I didn't realize I'm on screen.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, we got Coach Karen on the Tech Divas today. Woo! Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today is Friday. We're talking tech, social media. TJ will be in with us. Terry Austin, she's going to be mobile today. So looks like Coach Karen and I are going to kick things off. There is a lot to talk about in tech.
Oh, I was just popping in. I'm like, okay,
hey, you're.
Oh, there I am.
There you are. See, just show up when it's necessary. And so we just want to say thank you for tuning in today, and welcome to the show. Every Friday we talk tech, social media, what happened in tech during the week, and just catching you up on everything that is changing. Because technology changes so quickly, you need a place to go where you can find out what's happening. So we gather the information from the week and then we bring it to you. So thank you for watching. Everybody watching live, hello, hello. Everybody watching on the replay, hello, hello. East Coast, West Coast, in between, global. We are so glad.
North and South.
So glad you are here. So every week we do something called This Week in Tech History. And I like this blog that I follow. It's thisdayintechhistory.com. However, because we do weekly show, we just kind of put everything to let you know what happened.
And just get it condensed.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know what's happening. So on June 4th, 1977, the VHS video cassette format is introduced as VidStar in North America. This is VHS. Okay, I don't even know if I have a VHS tape left in this house.
I have VHS. I'm gonna come in. I got a VHS / DVD.
I had one of those, and I don't have one anymore. It was introduced at a press conference before the Consumer Electronics Show. That's the CES that still happens every year. The show's in Chicago it started. So VHS or Video Home System was based on an open standard developed by JVC in 1976. As compared to the Sony Betamax format, it would compete against. VHS allowed longer playtime, faster rewinding, and faster forwarding. You remember pushing the button to rewind the tape?
Girl, when DVD came out, you didn't have to rewind everything. I keep looking to see what's happening.
Like, how come I can't push a button?
I'm like, what?
And then with VHS, Blockbuster had a lot of VHS. Remember, or the video stores, you had to make sure you rewind them, or they charged you a fee.
Yeah.
Now we have Netflix. Just
girl.
So on June 5th, 1977, Apple II entered the market. The original Apple II computer goes on sale. The Apple II featured a 1 megahertz MOS 6502 processor for all of you techie people who really wanted to know that. And it also featured an integrated keyboard, a built-in basic programming environment, expandable memory, 4K expandable to 48K, a monitor capable of color graphics, a sound card, 8 expansion slots. To include all these features in one discrete unit was highly innovative, and the reason it is considered the first practical personal computer. However, in the spirit of the original computer hacker, the Apple II was also available as a circuit board only, without a keyboard, power supply, or case. A couple of years later, the combination of the Apple II series and the first killer app of the business world, the BizChicks spreadsheet program. It popularized the personal computers among business users. This sudden success of the home computer in the business world surprises established technology company and eventually leads IBM to scramble to develop their IBM PC. Now, some of you people who like to play video games, on June 6, 1984, Tetris is born. You remember the falling bricks and you, yeah. Alexei Pajitnov, hopefully I didn't butcher his name, first releases the game Tetris in the USSR. Tetris will become one of the most popular puzzle video games of all time. Originally programmed for a Soviet-built Electronica 60 computer, the game was soon ported to the IBM PC, where it spread quickly throughout Moscow and the rest of the USSR, eventually making its way to Hungary. From there, the game was discovered, and questionable attempts to license it for sale by various software companies were made. By 1989, half a dozen different companies claimed rights to create and distribute Tetris software for home computers, game consoles, and handheld systems. Several highly complex and drawn-out legal battles ensued. So nobody had their name. So, okay, get your legal stuff together when you make an app or something. They were, people. It took long years to settle who had the rightful licenses and authority to sell Tetris games in various formats. Ironically, the gentleman who created himself was not able to make any money on Tetris for years because as an employee for the Soviet government, the Soviet state ended up owning, because, let me make sure I read that right, on Tetris for years because as an employee for the Soviet government, the Soviet state ended up owning the rights. It was only when the rights reverted from the old Soviet government to him and he moved to the US in '96 that he was able to form a company and collect royalties. Then he went to work for Microsoft, trading one oppressive regime for another, it would seem. So when you're working for somebody else, I guess the stuff ain't yours.
Nope. I just read something about a guy who ended up being a firefighter, didn't want to be anymore, and decided to become a firefighter on some video, and he wrote a book in his spare time, but he lost his job over the book, not overdoing the book, but because of some I don't know, it was a chapter or certain sections of the book in there, and he even went to court for it, but he ended up,
Wow. Protect your stuff, people.
And you're working, and people are saying everybody was for him, but a guy said when you're working for the government in the US, at least in the US, and you can't, apparently, even if you write a book, it probably can't have, this is how he explained it, and I'm not word for word, somewhere in there he says this, that he can't write or probably imply maybe anything concerning circumstances, environment, and the people.
Well, you mean you can't talk about it?
There you go. Because that's rule for being fired, and that's why he was fired.
Wow.
Here we go.
Wow. So we're learning you just can't go and just start writing a book, an expose of your job in the government.
Even if you change names.
I changed everybody's identity, really.
You're going to have to write the book under a pen name.
Hey, Pat is watching us.
Hi, Pat.
Okay. So, June 6, 2005, the Mac gets Intel inside. In a keynote address at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, more on that for 2018, Steve Jobs announces that Macintosh computers will transition from PowerPC to Intel processors and demonstrates a Mac OS X running on a computer with an Intel Pentium 4 processor. Jobs revealed at the time that Apple had been secretly preparing for a possible transition to Intel for many years. Unbeknown to the public, for every version of Mac OS X released, Apple actually had prepared a version running on Intel on on an Intel processor. By making the transition to Intel, Apple paved the way for the resurgence of the Macintosh computer by making it more compatible with the software for Microsoft Windows. And TJ can talk to that a little bit too. I think that's okay. So you know how sometimes, okay, TJ, I'm going down a rabbit trail, but here we go. You know how sometimes the computers, the PCs crash a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I got a my desktop, my Mac that sits on the, it's now on the kitchen, but it sits on the counter. That one has the processor in there from Intel, right? I didn't get crashing and stuff at all for a long time, but then I noticed, I'm thinking the common denominator for the crashing may not have been necessarily Microsoft. It could have just been the Intel chip, because the Intel chip was the common denominator for both.
It could be. The thing is the operating system controls how the memory is allocated.
Okay.
So and also some functions of the motherboard, the operating system. So that's why when you hear people say get a Mac, you won't get viruses, that's not really true, because the viruses are written as code by people. So Mac was a little harder to break as far as coding for viruses. You can get a virus. Anybody can get a virus because they come, you get a link from someone and you click on it, there's a virus. It happens all the time, whether you have a PC or a Mac. So, and matter of fact, I had a client that was like, oh my, I thought Macs were immune to viruses. I said, no, it's a computer. If someone sits down and decides, I want to spend more time trying to break the code of the Mac OS versus the PC, because the PC is easier to write those viruses and codes and things. So see how it's not just the chip or the motherboard, it's the operating system that controls all of that. It's like the operating system is you in your car. So it depends on the person driving the car, what the car does, right? And whether it gets in an accident or goes in a ditch or goes straight left or right. So that's kind of like what it is.
Okay. Now,
if that makes sense.
It does. It really does. It helps. Now, the other thing about this was, it was interesting to me that they had been practicing for the next round. Do you understand what I mean? Are we preparing for the next round? Like Coach Karen had talked to us about, like earlier this week, about doing your admin. Are you preparing for the next steps? They weren't going to be banking on this PowerPC chip forever. They were already like, let's test and see what else we can do and get ready for the move.
Right. They're already like 2 steps ahead. They have to be, because the technology changes so fast. They have to be 10 steps ahead.
Which brings us to another story. On June 6, 2009, Palm Pre was released. Palm Incorporated releases the Palm Pre. Remember Palm? Okay.
The Palm Pilot, yes, we remember.
Yes, well, this is the Palm Pre smartphone through Sprint. I'd have a picture of it here too. This is the Palm Pre smartphone that Sprint had offered.
Okay.
In an attempt to regain market share after the Trio line of smartphones was dwarfed by Apple's iPhone, featuring the Linux-based Palm Web OS operating system. The Pre received some praise from technical reviewers, but due to poor marketing and the rapid pace in which Apple dominates the new world of smartphones, Palm series of phones and the Web OS never really have a chance to gain a foothold. Within the course of 1 year, Palm is purchased by HP for $1.2 billion. And I'm going to put a side note there. Why are you buying something that's...
So now who repeat that? Who bought Palm? Who bought them?
HP.
Oh, HP. Okay. Yeah.
They bought it for $1.2 billion. It is declining, but you're going to buy it. I understand the logic behind buying something that's declining because you want to buy stocks when they're on the decline, but you need to make sure that the company has a chance, right? Okay.
Right.
1 year later, just after 2 months of abysmal sales of their touchpad tablets, HP halts production of all web OS-based devices. HP has announced they will release the source code for web OS under an open source license, but the future of this once promising mobile operating system looks bleak.
Well, what can you say?
I remember for these companies, a lot of consultants come in and promise them the world and tell them how it's going to be and what's going to happen. These meetings are crazy, that happen behind doors that we don't see. And you're the public going like, what the hell? Why would you?
And we're not buying it. How about that? June 7th, 1983, Michael Eaton is granted a patent for the AT command set for modems, which had created a standard language for interacting with modems. 2 years earlier, the rights for this command set were purchased by the Hayes Corporation, and this was a modem in the early 90s needing to use modems so that they could connect pre-internet bulletin board systems. Anyway, that's what happened.
Oh, the modem. I remember those days.
Yeah, you had to have one. In June 7, 2000, the United States District Judge Penfield Jackson orders the breakup of Microsoft into two companies. Well, that didn't happen. One that will develop operating systems and one that will develop other applications. Microsoft immediately announces that it will file an appeal of the judgment. What would have been a monumental event in the history of technology never actually happens. And the ruling was overturned about a year later. Microsoft was sanctioned, but it stayed one company. I'm just saying. And then our final story, one processor to rule them all. June 8th, 1978, Intel introduces the 16-bit 8086 processor with clock speeds of 10, 8, and 5 megahertz. The 8086 will become the basis for the series of processors used in the IBM compatible PCs, and the x86 family, later marketed under the name Pentium, would dominate the market in the PC era. Ironically, however, it was modified. It was the modified 8-bit 8088 processor that was used in the original IBM PC, primarily due to factors that would reduce overall costs. The current line of Intel Core processors are still based on the same architecture that was introduced with the 8086. That is your week in tech history.
All right.
All righty then.
Now, meanwhile, back in 2018.
I mean, all that terminology, I remember Pentium, I remember the 8086, the x86, I remember all that stuff.
I remember
it's coming back to me.
Yeah, and I remember the computers.
Pentium is all I remembered.
They were like, okay, and all of this.
It was all processor speeds back then. We don't really need to know all of that now, even though it's still, there are people that will, the new iPhones coming out will have this processor and that. I really don't pay attention to it anymore because it's gotten to the point where it's gotten faster to where you don't even recognize the slight difference in speed.
Nope.
And you don't, like, if you get the new iPhone versus the last iPhone, you won't see a difference in speed. It's there. It's slight. But if you compare the latest iPhone to, say, a 5 or something like that, you will see the difference. So it's gotten incrementally so fast that we used to worry about processor speed years ago, but now it's just like, a new chip, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
And we, we're coming out with the A1222 chip.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only people that care about the new Apple chip is the Apple nerds. I'm going to call you.
Yeah.
The guys who like the specs. Those people.
I just want to use the device.
Right.
How about that?
You want it to work.
Yeah. We just want it to work. Click. It moves. And I'm good with that. So we are talking about, which brings us to Apple just had its Worldwide Developers Conference this week. I believe it was Tuesday. And there was a lot of new things coming out with the 12 chip, or not the chip, with the 12 operating system for the phone. And it will cover your iPhone. It will cover the iPad. And anything that was iOS related. So if you have an iPad, this is good for you. If you have a phone, it's good for you. And TJ, do you want to start, or where we want to go? Because there was a lot of stuff.
It was a lot. I mean, I like the fact that they're saying that there's an update to FaceTime. Because does anybody use FaceTime really?
I use it like if I need to work with the client, instead of having them go into Zoom and try and share their screen, I tell them to turn on the FaceTime and show me your computer. I use it for that. And I mean, it's good. Like you're going to the grocery store and I need to and they're trying to describe it to you. Just put it on FaceTime and show me.
Okay. I know that, there's a use of FaceTime, but I also like to use Facebook Messenger for some reason. I gravitate toward it more to talk to clients and stuff. Well, it's just me.
And there's a reason for that. Because in order to use FaceTime, both parties have to have an iPhone or an iPad.
So if you're talking to somebody who has Android,
it's better to use Messenger.
That's why, because I was trying to do my sister and she was telling me to download this and do that. I'm like, I'm not doing all of that. Like, just have a Messenger. The minute I got to download and do this, and she's like.
Right. So if you install Facebook Messenger, it kind of goes across. But see, the people have to have Messenger. But this is a good opportunity to say, if you're definitely talking to clients, say this is an easy way for us to communicate. We can text, we can do video chat, we can do a phone chat. It could be all of those things. So I don't know. I think that's why I always look at Facebook Messenger, because, like you said, with FaceTime, they have to have an iPhone.
Yeah,
they don't.
And I don't think you have. Do you have to have a Facebook account in order to have Messenger? I don't think so. I think
they broke. I think they were trying to separate that, because a lot of people complaining that they don't want to download the Messenger app.
And then they didn't want people. And there are the people who want to use Messenger, but they don't necessarily want a Facebook account.
Right.
I know there's an app in the App Store called Messenger. So. Hey, anybody out there who uses it without Facebook, we'd like to know that. I think I might need to test that theory.
We'll have to look at it. I think they were talking about, because I know a lot of people like, I'm not downloading Messenger because it was something that Facebook was going to spy on you or something with Messenger.
Yeah, that's my sister's, and so they wouldn't. I'm like,
because they did when it first
people are seeing you and you're doing it.
When Messenger first came out, there was this thing going around that Facebook was going to look at your contact list or look at your phone or something. I'm like, it's the same old, they're doing something.
That's Snapchat.
This thing is so crazy. Even before all this technology, since in the 70s or whatever, when people want to find you,
they're going to find you.
You're not. They're going to find you.
Yeah, you pretty much, if you got a device, I won't even say a phone. If you have a device, you had to sign up with something. If you have Android, you had to log in with your Gmail account.
Okay, let's even go a step further, Terry.
Yeah.
We even have even radio. People find you through radio. If people know that people find people through radio, somebody found my Canada years ago through radio. They put out an announcement on the radio. Excuse me.
Do you have a credit card?
Yeah.
They know you.
Yeah, if you have a credit card, if you signed up for something online or entered a contest or anything,
they know you.
Got your data. So I don't know.
They know you. They know where you are. If they want you, they'll get you.
And I have a
just say.
Okay, so back to the conference. The Apple is also releasing the screen time feature that lets you know your phone usage, like where you spend time in apps and how long.
Yes.
And you can set limits for your children.
before you dive into that more, back on the FaceTime, it allows you to now talk to at least up to 30 people at a time on FaceTime.
Ooh, but how does that work though?
Well, it kind of works like I guess it would be a hangout, but you can get 30 different people on there, and whoever is
right. But how would they get everybody? So is everybody's little face on there?
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
They got little thumbnails, and whoever is talking, that picture becomes prominent and large.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking if I got 32 people to call, I mean, I'm thinking that's a lot of time. Well, it's got to be maybe it shows maybe 5 thumbnails, and then there's a little arrow, and then you.
And I think it was like down the side, there were all of the people, and then you are going to be down in the bottom right, and whoever's talking, their little thing pops up big and goes away. You understand? Kind of like what we do on Zoom or something, where you get big and then the other person goes away.
But I was just thinking
30 people squares. Is a lot. Okay. I don't know. And I guess it's good for work collaboration. And if you're on a team and you're all using, again, you all have to be on Apple product.
True. But see, this is where, and let's talk about the team, because you brought up the team collaboration. Whenever I want to work with a bunch of people, a group of people, I always say, let's get a Slack. Because I can go into Slack and we can make documents. We can bring in pictures. We can do you can do video calls. It connects to Google Hangouts. All of those things are in there. So I always like this, use a tool for teams instead of trying to make something fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, the Apple thing is kind of proprietary. You need to have an iPhone or
everybody has to have an iPhone
or an iPad, something you got to have.
Everybody has to have an iOS device, something that will allow them to use FaceTime.
Correct.
And
that's okay if you're talking.
Yeah, it's okay. But we talked about this about smartphone device share versus Apple versus Google, and Google has the bigger market share as far as users. So that's what I always say. Instead of trying to say, okay, is everybody have access to an iOS device? No, don't worry about that. Let's set up the Slack world.
Yeah.
And everybody can go into it through the desktop or an app.
Correct.
Regardless of what operating system they use.
So Slack has one device and it brings people from both worlds.
Yeah, it's a world. And it doesn't matter where you're coming from, whether it's mobile or desktop, PC or Mac or iPhone or Android. It doesn't care about that because there's an app you can download so you can use it on your mobile device or you can use it on your desktop. I always try to, let's do that instead. And then it's like a file cabinet where whatever you're working on, the documents go in there and people can go in to the different folders and pick out. So it's always a better deal than email, because let's do a group email. What I'm like, no, email's not for that, not for team collaboration.
No.
Let's go to Slack. And it's free.
Correct. Now,
the best part.
The option for if you do not have a iOS device, or you do and the other person doesn't, or vice versa, and you're just using it to connect with people, their Duo, I believe, is with Google. You can download, if the person has an Android, that means the person on the Mac is going to need to get the Duo app in order to talk.
Right.
Just saying. But you can use Messenger if you so there's a lot of different little apps that you can use.
You have to decide what you like, because we're at the point now to where, like I said, I like Facebook Messenger only because of the features and the way it works. Someone else may like something else, but there's options to fit what you like.
You do have options and utilize your options. So back you were talking about the on the screen time.
Yeah. So it will let you monitor, and this is a good thing because there's been a lot of talk lately about Apple and Google and all these other technology companies are and Facebook and apps too. So they say Facebook too and Instagram they designed it to where you want to use it more and more. Mm-hmm. So you have to remember that kids are susceptible to, they don't have that filter, that stop thing that lets them stop. They'll just keep going and going, especially with a device. So you as a parent have to say, okay, I'm going to set time limits.
Yep.
You can only use it so and so, and then boom. Then you can go back and look at them and see, especially this is for, parents who are not you working or whatever, your kids come home from school and you tell them not to do this and that, but okay, mom, dad, but you can look at their phone and go, oh, I told you, because you were using it. So you get to see it.
Yep. And that is exactly why they put that on there. And you can use it for yourself so you can find out where you are spending so much time. Oh my gosh, I've been on Facebook for 12 hours. It gives you charts.
Mm-hmm.
You know how.
And so it's not just for kids, it's for anybody, because like we said, they built these devices and the apps and everything for you to use them. The more you use it, you get immersed in that world. So you have to pull yourself out. And we said that here when you're running your business and you need to check on Facebook and you go to Facebook, you're going to get sucked into your news feed because, there's a picture of, your cousin had a baby or the wedding, or, there's a cute picture of something, or there's a video. So you get sucked in once you start scrolling. And it happens to everybody, because don't say, oh, you say, I'm going to spend 15 minutes on Facebook, but then it turns into 30 and you wasted, that time. And so you have to have something to stop you, because they designed, it's not you. So don't feel bad that it happens to me too. I get in there and go, oh, I'm going to check something on my page. And then you have to go to your feed. So you see your feed. Yes. And if you don't immediately go to where you want to go, you see that feed and you see a story, you see something, you see an article, you see there's something there to see to catch your eye. It's designed that way.
Yes. And so you have to put in some protocols, put in some things to help you stay on task.
Mm-hmm. Because, stay on task, exactly.
Yeah. So
it's everybody. It happens to everybody. We're not perfect. I'm susceptible to it too. So
they also introduced something that I really thought this is great for me. They introduced a special new app for the iOS 12 called Measure, which lets you measure stuff just by taking your phone, and it'll show you how to.
Oh, so you measure distance, or?
Yeah, like if I wanted to measure the end of one part of my computer to the other, I can click a point and then go to the other point, and it'll show up and tell me how many inches it is. I was like, finally.
That's cool.
Because the other apps that were out, I was like, okay, your tape measure does not work. You got to do too much work. But this works, and it also does it in 3D. So you can tell how big a box or something is. And I thought, oh, that is genius.
Wow.
They did something with the pictures that you can send to friends, and iOS can detect who's in the picture and offer to send those pictures to those people.
Oh, so probably a face recognition in the photo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Terry, I want to ask you about this. The shortcuts sounds to me like skills for Alexa. Because
now what was this again? The shortcuts. I didn't hear
the Siri shortcuts. It's a feature.
Siri shortcuts.
Siri shortcuts where you can tell Siri, okay, add a shortcut to find my keys. Add a shortcut to order my coffee. Add a shortcut to make my travel plans and stuff.
It seems like Siri can look at patterns of what you do every day.
Correct, and
suggest a shortcut.
And yes, so like if there's something that you do all the time, like when she put together, let me know on my way home, turn on the thermostat to 78, turn on the lights or something. When you set up, I'm going home, it turned, okay, you'll be home in about an hour, the lights will go on and the blah, blah, blah. That sounds like an Alexa skill.
Right. That sounds like Alexa, where you have your smart device, your appliances and everything in your smart home hooked up to Alexa, which so when you can give it commands like that.
Yes.
So it sounds like the same thing.
Correct.
Which is a cool feature if you got, you know, the Apple HomePod and you got all of your stuff everything in your world is Apple related.
And you have to hook this stuff up. It's not like, okay, it's just gonna happen. You have to talk to it, and it has to know your routine. You know, like, okay, I don't know if I want it. Okay, are you having coffee this morning? Shall I order it from Phil's? No, let's. I'm not that much of that. I do routines, but not enough for it to start making me coffee in the kitchen and stuff.
Well, if you get the coffee maker that has that option,
yeah,
you know, you're good to go.
Cool.
I think we talked about this a while ago about the refrigerator that is hooked up to stuff and it knows when things are out, or you know, like you said, the coffee maker that has the beans and it grinds the beans and it makes everything in a certain time. You just do a voice command for it.
Yeah, Samsung has all of that in there where you can do stuff from the refrigerator. But but you still need to be, okay, if you're looking for privacy, you still need to make sure, because wasn't some of the devices hacked last year or the year before?
It was we were talking about it. I think it was the modem or the router in the home that the updates weren't done.
Yeah.
For the Wi-Fi. I think that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And it hacked all the devices.
So we're telling you, if your phone company, I don't care if it's Samsung, LG, whoever your phone is, if they tell you it's time for an update, please do the update.
Yeah, update. Don't sit back and go, okay, I'll do that. And you know, it's easy to do on your computer. Because it'll say, "Oh, you remind me in an hour," and sometimes I'll click that. I gotta stop that. Do it now. Stop what I'm doing. Take a break. Because it's annoying when you're working.
It really is.
That thing pop up. You're like, oh, but you have to do it because it's important. So, important updates.
And if you don't want to be annoyed, then you put it on a schedule. While I'm doing lunch, I'm gonna update my computer. Okay. The Animojis.
Okay, the Animojis.
Okay, so you know how you get an Animoji and you can do the little thing and you can look like a lion and you talk and it talks with you with the face recognition? They now have Memojis where they look like you, and this is only in the 12, so it will look like you. Let me show you. Remember Bitmojis?
Yes, if you use Snapchat a lot, you have a Bitmoji is connected to Snapchat, so it's all like a cartoon animation of you.
It's an avatar of you, so I guess I think you can see that. Okay, so here's the thing. There was an app that you could get. Oh no, it was Bitmoji went onto your keyboard for you to create, how you're doing all those high and you put clothes on and do all of this stuff. And it was fun, except for the fact that I kept getting the message from Apple or whatever saying this keyboard has access to whatever. It's a third party. Are you sure you want them monitoring?
Yes, it's a keyboard. It will. Yeah, it's recording your keystrokes is what they're trying to tell you, which it has to.
In order for you to create the Bitmoji, I was like, nah, that's all right. I just won't have the funny little thing because I'd rather have them not in my stuff. So with the Memoji, I don't have to worry about that because it's a part of the phone.
Yeah.
Instead of a third party having access to my keystrokes on the
so you can see where Apple is going and Google too, that they are taking all of these third party apps and things that did special stuff like the Bitmoji. They're co-opting that and putting it directly into the iOS. So like you said, for people who maybe when you see that warning about the keyboard, you wait a minute, I don't know if I should use that. But if it's in your phone operating system, you just go right ahead and use it because it's your phone operating system. So the worry is taken out. So seems like they're integrating these third-party apps that do special things like the Bitmoji, the Memoji, all that, putting it right into the operating system on the phone, which is smart.
Oh, and for FaceTime, you can take those the Memojis and filters and stuff and put them on your FaceTime.
Yeah.
I was like,
so
okay,
that's cool.
That is cool. The Apple Watch is getting some new things, which is better. That's
now I heard something. I was going to go read more about it. That there's some kind of $10,000 Apple Watch. It's solid gold or something, or was that always out?
I don't know. Oh, there was that dude that made this case for the phone, for the 10 phone or whatever, and I'm like, dude, we're not doing it. I don't know.
It was something recently. They're saying it was some kind of $10,000.
I'm not paying $10,000 for a watch. I'm just telling you. There is no reason.
Oh yeah, there was a $10,000 gold edition. Like the phone was.
Yes, and it was the case was made of gold. I mean, the phone was made. They took it and made it. Made the case around the phone. You couldn't take the phone. Right. You know what I mean? You couldn't take it out of the case or whatever. It's still. I'm not doing that. Why would you? Why?
Why is a good question.
The Apple Watch is able to now have a walkie-talkie. You can make it like a walkie-talkie with somebody you talk to all the time. So you can just talk to the watch and talk to the person. And you don't have to have a Siri at all when you're using the watch. You can just lift it up and talk.
Here are some movies playing at theaters, but they are a bit far from you. Okay. So no, a Star Wars story. Deadpool 2.
Hey Siri, stop. Okay, I was trying to talk. Oh, the ID cards can be added to the watch. So like if you're going to with some universities, you can buy your lunch. You can pay for your snacks, for laundry or whatever if you're on campus. And it's going to be at 7 universities, including Duke, where you can just use your watch and pay for your stuff.
Oh, no, that's a good idea.
Okay, who is your internet provider?
Mine is Spectrum.
Okay, so Charter Spectrum will be the first to support zero sign-in on Apple TV.
What do you mean, like?
So you don't have to, you know how Apple TV, you can do zero sign-on, which lets you access all of your supported apps included with your TV service on your Apple TV, as long as you're using the same broadband network. That means if you buy a new Apple TV, you won't have to manually sign in to every TV app to start using it. And you know how when you go.
Oh, yeah. Because I have that now. It goes, when I install a new app, it just automatically, it says, do you want to use the ID that I sign in with? And I just say yes.
Yeah, well, it's going to be zero sign in, so you don't have to.
I don't even have to do that? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because with Roku, every time I go in to watch something, I have to. Well, not every time.
Oh, I hate that.
You have to. It's like, come on.
I hate that, and it was like if I do it on a Monday and then I go on a Friday to the same app, it asks me, "Oh, you got an authentic." I'm like, wait a minute, activate authentic. I just did that like a few days ago.
Yes. And you're like getting ready to go watch the NBA playoffs. And then all of a sudden, like, what the heck? I have to go back in. I hate
that. So Roku is doing that. I'm thinking like, what? I'm thinking something is broken. Is something broken where I gotta?
It's Roku, and they need to fix that because it only happens on my Apple TV. It does not happen. Only on the Roku. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm like, wait a minute. I just activated this thing like a week ago.
I logged in already. So
it's crazy.
Stop. But I do like the fact that we cut the cord. I'm just saying, it is so much freedom.
Yeah, I don't miss cable.
I don't either. And I have so many more channels. I'm like, oh.
I don't miss cable.
Like, okay, I need to, and I don't go to all the channels, and I don't get to see all of them. There are certain ones that I
watch
pick.
any reality TV, any of that. If I wanted to, the Bravo app, if I wanted to.
I do not miss it. I like Sling. I'm still toying with what is this YouTube TV. Now, here's my thing with YouTube TV. If I have YouTube TV, I think you ought to give me YouTube Red, YouTube, everything you got for free. Seriously. You know what I mean?
I don't think YouTube is going to do that.
Well, they're not. But I mean, if you're paying.
It would be nice. No, I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you. It would be nice, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Because you know, so while you're watching a YouTube, if you don't upgrade to the $9 a month, if you come away from it on your phone, like if you go to answer a phone or whatever, it stops the video or it doesn't continue playing. You know what I mean? Like if you leave the app to go do something, you have to come back in again. I was like, you guys. But if I'm paying you $40 a month, I think you should.
They should, but I don't think they will.
Yeah. Okay. So now the Mac, the desktop is getting a true dark mode. Where?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I love that. It's going to do it automatically.
Yep.
It's going to change it from white, like you know, you have a white background in your apps and things. It's going to change it to dark.
Yep.
For your eyes, to help your eyes.
It is easier on the eyes, which should make coding. So if you're,
I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have Mojave is the new app.
The new OS.
Yes.
Okay.
Apple made continuity its system that lets you pick up where you left off on other Apple devices. It's better now in Mojave. So, because we were doing that before. If I were on my desktop, I can go to my phone and it would follow. Okay. They got some new apps coming out. Voice memos is going to be on the iPad. They're going to put a calculator. Did they say a calculator? I know they're adding voice memos to the iPad. I wish they add a calculator to it because I'm serious. I don't understand why there's no calculator on the iPad.
I never understood that. So you have to download one which runs ads all the time when you're doing it. It's so annoying.
It is very annoying. Okay. I hate it.
I remember I downloaded a bunch of them.
And
I got one right now. I want to get rid of it because it's just annoying.
It is very annoying. I wish they would can we just put the calculator on the iPad? Anybody watching this from Apple?
I need numbers only. Put it there.
Anybody from Apple hearing this, please put the calculator on the iPad.
Put a calculator on there, please.
They already have one too. It's on the phone. I don't understand.
On pen and paper. I got to bring my phone so I really don't want my phone to annoy me.
Yeah.
Be nice talking to them. I ain't gonna lie with that one.
It's like, come on. I don't understand why that's an issue. But there's a lot going on with that. So what else is happening in the world of social media, TJ? Because well,
there's a big story about Facebook.
Oh, really?
And 14 million. Let me get this right. 14 million people. Mm-hmm. Users. There was a privacy bug that changed your status to public from whatever you had it set to. Okay. But the bug was only from, and let me see when it was. It was just a few days. If the bug was active from May 18th and May 22nd, but it took Facebook until May 27th to switch people's status, compose a privacy setting back. Now, see, this is the thing. If you're not paying attention, but this is me. I'm not going to get on everybody. I always pay attention to the little privacy settings on the posts. But I see now that 14 million people did not pay attention because it will. And then I've seen also Facebook will say, this is the last privacy setting you use. Do you want to use it?
Oh, you mean read dialog boxes?
You know what? It pops up with a notification, but it will let you know that you're doing something different than you did than what you have set.
And that's what I'm saying, because a lot of people skim past that stuff. They don't read the instruction. They just kind of like, they just go. I'm like, no.
Don't skip. And that's what I was saying. How do you not see it? Because you have it, whatever you have it set to, if you have it friends only or certain friends or a list, and then if you change it, Facebook will say, listen, you changed it. It's not your usual setting. Are you sure? I've seen it a couple times. So I don't know what happened here where people's posts were set to public instead of what they had set as the default. That's what they're saying here.
I'm just saying.
That's what they're saying.
Read, stop, pay attention, people. Oh, wait, attention necessary. Pay attention. Because
focus. You're asking somebody to focus. Come on, Fran.
Oh, no. But then they get mad.
But see, think about this. Now, 14 million people is a small subset of Facebook users, which is 2.2, almost 2.3 billion and growing. So think about billion of users and the small little subset of 14 million people who did not look at what Facebook is telling them.
Maybe they haven't been in their account for a while, so maybe have Facebook accounts, but they're not here, they're not using, they're not there on a regular basis and stuff like that. So.
Could be, but I've noticed personally I have it set for one thing, and if I set, and I'll say, okay, I want everybody to see this, so I'll make it public. Facebook has told me, oh, you're changing it from what you had before. Are you sure? I've seen it several times, so I don't know why, this little bit of people, and this little 14 million out of 2.2 billion is a small number that wouldn't notice that.
Yeah. Oh,
because Facebook will tell you, unless it's Facebook is only doing it for a certain test group of people. But I've seen it where it says you're changing your privacy.
They want to make it private. I've gotten. They ask me.
Yeah, and I pay attention to that. Oh, that's different.
Pay attention to it. Yeah. So I don't know, but they fixed it.
Yeah, isn't that why when some people post some things you can't share it because they had it private?
Yes. If they have it set to a certain, like a list or a certain subset of people, you can't share it. It has to be public.
Yep. The Verge is.
But that's what happened with Facebook this week.
Okay, The Verge. Oh, this is from The Verge. Sprint is bringing the Samsung Galaxy A6 to the U.S. I don't know what that means. Okay, this is a different phone.
Okay.
Because they've been talking about the 9 and stuff. So mid-range Galaxy A6 Plus smartphone about a month ago. There hasn't been any word about our U.S. release. But now Sam Mobile has confirmed that Sprint will be launching the Galaxy A6 in the U.S. Okay. Oh, and Sprint and T-Mobile are supposed to connect.
Yeah.
Which is going to make them, I don't know. I think that's going to make them, they'll still be number 3, but they won't be 3 and 4 anymore.
They'll just be 3.
Yeah. Because Sprint and Metro is already together.
Right.
Although they are running it as 2 separate companies.
You guys got so much options.
So you don't get choices?
You guys got so.
Karen said we don't get choices. Uber and
why? Because even if you get the choices here and you're like, yes, and you really talk to sales of like, I'm just fascinated. I go up probably a step further, so this guy, because if he hung with me and I was debating, and he said, we're a subdivision of so and so. I was like, okay, I'm a subdivision. You have the one company. You hear about all these names, but it's the same company. And so they're, at this level, at that level, and then you're like, it's the same evil. So it's the same heartache you got to get. So.
And if the customer service is no good, and then you're just going to
you're back to the same thing. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so annoying, especially if you have a specific company who outsource everything to India and nobody understands what you're telling them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
this is the life in tech. Uber and Lyft confirmed that they want to expand to offer electric scooters.
Why? Hey, hold on. Let me hear this right.
Electric scooters. In San Francisco and some other places, the scooters.
Okay. That makes, if it's San Francisco, that makes sense because they have a culture of scooters and those they even have a brand of scooters where you could just you rent. I think you can rent. You just pick them up for free and leave them wherever you want.
Well, they're not for free.
If it's something, I'm from Toronto. That's what we do with the bikes. Like those bikes, you can just pop in your dollars or credit card
and
ride your bike and then park it somewhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You put in $1 or $2, pick up the scooter and ride, and then you drop it off at somewhere else. And then the other person have to put in $1 and you move. Right. And there was a problem.
That's what we have. That's a city bike, but you have to put it back into a city bike rack. Like you have to find the rack and put it back. But I think in San Francisco they have something. I saw it on the news. They have the scooters where you ride the scooter wherever you want and you leave it wherever.
Yeah,
you just drop it. You can drop it in the middle of the street or on the sidewalk or somebody's house or in front of me down, and you just walk away from it. And the people were complaining because it was litter, because people just leaving it.
Yep.
Because that's crazy.
And I was like, that's just trifling. And you know, they were just leaving the scooters everywhere. And I'm like, really?
That doesn't make no sense. And as a business owner, how would that be profitable?
Well, but then the city began fining the companies.
Yes.
Because the people were leaving them, and so
they would just like dropping it in the middle of the sidewalk and on just everywhere. They were everywhere. So it's some kind of in San Francisco. They've got some kind of culture where they want to use the scooters and the bike. It's called, I think it's called Lime S or Lime. What is it called? Lime Bike. Something was called. It was on the news. The people were mad because they were just leaving them. And usually you get from the bike rack, and then you have to take it to another bike rack near where you're going. You have to put it back into the bike rack.
Yeah, but
you're done with it. You drop it wherever you are.
How are you going to tell undisciplined people who don't like to follow the rules already?
They're not doing them and then maybe those people don't get to rent anymore.
Oh, but here the San Francisco is saying starting on June 4th, which had already started, they're banning all scooters unless they have a permit. So they don't want any more of the shared dockless. That's what they were. They were shared and dockless. Like you could get it and just ride it, and then you're supposed to like find somebody to take it, but people were just dropping it and leaving it, like just scattered everywhere.
They probably can find the people when they get there. They don't want to wait around. They got things.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
It is very.
So all the citizens were complaining and mad, of course.
Yep.
I think it was Lime Bike. Lime something. Whoa. I saw it on the news.
You need a new concept. But here's the good news. They tried it, didn't work. Now recoup and figure out what to do with it.
Okay, so I'm looking at The Verge over here. They report this story. The BlackBerry Key 2 arrives with dual cameras and a refined look. Seriously?
Hold on. Don't finish reading that. Why?
I have no idea. This was June 7th, 2018. TCL has officially announced the BlackBerry Key 2. It's sequel to the last year's Key 1. Had anybody heard of the Key 1? It's a mid-range smartphone with the company's iconic physical keyboard. Seriously? The Key 2 looks like its predecessor, except TCL, which makes most BlackBerry phones now. Oh, what happened to the other company? Anyway, has slimmed down the top bezel and made space for slightly wider keys, navigation buttons. Who's buying that?
They had a BlackBerry club and a friend of ours, my friend cousin was in. And even her, she's rubbing her head just like that. I think she started and closed it down.
Why would we do this?
I don't know.
She was like, BlackBerry BlackBerry for all, BlackBerry.
I don't know.
I'm like, Carolyn, stop it. And she's like, yep, it's over.
Oh, okay, I'm glad she woke up, because that right there is just not.
She couldn't take it. She just couldn't take it.
Because you have to still push the little buttons, not that little thing about click, 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 and then click, click. What?
No. When it was, it had a time. It was over. It was over.
Yeah.
It is time
it's
for
over.
that.
It is over.
It is over. OVE. Over.
There is nothing more to be said. Don't revive it. Just get a hammer.
Okay, who is the company investing money in this? Okay.
There are people, and I think Gail King, that's on CBS News. I think she's one of those people that they love BlackBerry because of the feel of the key. Like they want to feel the keys and stuff. So
Okay.
I remember her specifically saying that she had an iPhone and a BlackBerry.
But that's a while ago. Is she still saying that? I'm a senior soccer about. I can't say so I was it, but I keep saying, get a big truck and drive it. That's it.
So they like and you see how they call this the key too, because they like the people that still using BlackBerries, they like the feel of the key. That the key.
So they know that's the draw. That's the thing that they can talk about.
They will not switch over to or they prefer to use it because they don't like the touching of the glass on a phone, like on the Android and all the other smartphones. There's no keyboard; it's just strictly glass. So
so touch.
Right, you touch type. Yeah. They don't like that. They don't like that. They want to touch a key. So that's why they're still making these phones, because there's people buying it. It's a small group of people, but
small dedicated market.
Yes,
it's a niche market, and I guess if
it's very niche,
very
niche, because I have not seen anybody walking around the streets of New York with one using it. I mean, they might be using it.
I'm like, I don't
but I have
understand.
not seen it. But that's the key. That's the key that the BlackBerry fans love. That the key that they can touch and move. That when they touch it, it's like a click, click, click. They like that. So
well, maybe somebody can.
It's just like some people have Samsung and iPhones because they like both for this.
Yes.
So maybe the same idea. They have a smartphone.
Yes. You guys are just being very kind.
We're trying to come up with reasons.
All right, I got one more thing before I gotta leave.
Okay.
Instagram is now testing and thinking about letting people upload hour-long video to their feed, because right now the limit is 60 seconds.
Yeah, they cut you off anything longer.
But they're thinking about an hour-long upload, because you can do an hour-long live,
but you can't do
on your feed. You can upload. So I think they're trying to come, like, because when you go to YouTube, you can watch a video that's up to, it goes past an hour, but most people do an hour.
Yeah.
So now Instagram is saying we want those YouTube people, kids.
Well, and they want people to stick around and watch their videos. They want to keep people in the environment. Well, if I can only upload 60 seconds, this ain't helping me.
Right. So do you think you will watch an hour if someone uploaded an hour-long video on Instagram? Would you watch it?
Okay, so it's like on YouTube, I'd watch it if it was keeping my attention, or wherever it is. Even on Facebook, it's still the same. Right. It needs to keep the attention for an hour.
I agree. Every platform, it has to keep your attention, because some things, honestly, I've watched things for 10 and 15 minutes or even 5. I'm like, why did I bother? Because I didn't get what I needed out of it. The 5 minutes wasted my 5 minutes. I'd rather watch something for the 15 minutes to half an hour if I'm going to get some benefit out of it.
Right. So Instagram is thinking about it. It's not available yet. They're thinking about it, removing the limit and upping it to 60 minutes an hour, that you can upload video that's up to an hour long.
So with the mention of time, and we're getting ready to close out, beginning on Monday, we will be going to a 30-minute program.
Okay.
We will be going to a 30-minute program. Fridays we might go over just because there's so much to talk about in tech, and Fridays is kind of fun days. But we're looking at going to we are going to a 30-minute program starting on Monday, and which means we get to the punch a little bit faster. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you all still get to share, but we won't be interrupting. Now, if the people are interacting with us, then we keep it moving.
Right.
But
okay, got it.
But so we got to come with it for 30 minutes, rock it in and leave.
Well, and not so much in a rush, but just give value, just because looks like we said, the attention span for most people is here, not here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it'll be good. And then that doesn't mean we get to go play willy-nilly. That means we need to take that extra 30 and be productive with our businesses or whatever it is that we're doing. It's not just, free time. We should be doing some business. So we're looking forward to, and making change is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
We got to do that all the time anyway in our businesses. Nothing stays the same. And if you think you do, you're in a lot of worries.
Exactly.
Nope. We really need to be making moves, just like the article we watched. Apple was making moves before they needed to make the moves.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it because TJ, we are learning so much about the different social media stuff, and then Karen is keeping us on point with our money. And I love the Hustle Chronicles. I'm like, man, we're learning every week, and we need to keep it going. And but then people can go and implement what they've learned.
Yes,
in that extra 30 minutes.
And then I feel like if we have a topic or something that deserves more than half an hour, maybe we'll do a part 1 and a part 2. Say, okay, this is part 1, and next week come back for part 2.
And then we're already ready to go to YouTube on a 30-minute roll.
Yeah, beautiful.
Without the edit. I like it.
I like the suggestion, Terry.
Yeah, I'll just do, hey, this part is whatever one. Part 1. Come back next week
for part 2.
Yes.
And I like that. And then, it's palatable. It's like who shot JR. Now we got to come back next week and find out who shot JR.
Gonna continue on. You're like, waiting.
To be continued.
Yes. So, ladies, thank you so much for tuning in today. This has been outstanding. Tech is always changing, so you need to be here to tune in so that you can see what's happening and how you're going to use tech in your life. Test out some stuff and come back and tell us how did it work for you, and or if you got questions about how to use something more efficiently. We're always here to help. With that in mind, we say have a wonderful weekend. Summer is starting. Happy graduation, and to all the people who are graduating. And wow.
Yeah. Moving on to new things.
Yeah. Life is
half
moving
the year
forward.
is gone.
Yes, it's all right.
Yeah,
right.
We are in the second
half.
Yeah, we're approaching, because this is June 6th. So this month is where we finish up the first half of the year, really and truly. And if you were keeping track and even if you were staying focused but fell off the wheel, hop back on, put that aside. Don't be afraid. It's really there for you to measure and self-correct. Don't go going down the I feel embarrassed and ashamed and can't believe this is where I'm at. That's where you're at.
And let's just go forward and let's do better in the second half. Okay, I'm not going to say nothing about Cleveland, but okay.
And with that, we will say have a good weekend.
Thank you.
On Monday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.